Hey guys, welcome to the RoundTable, episode 76. I'm Jenny Walker, the social media ministry leader here at Life Church. And this is Mike Hill, our lead pastor. Woo, got it right.
And our special guest.
And our special guest, Melissa Getz.
How come she got two specials?
I don't know, because I really like her. That's why. She's so interesting.
So just because driving around last night, I got to know, did you go trick-or-treating?
No, I don't like Halloween.
Melissa?
My kids are too old.
Too old.
No.
Okay. So did they do any, did they have any high school parties that were around Halloween where they had bonfires and haunted trails?
Actually, my 7th grader got invited to a party.
Yeah.
Wow.
They did a bonfire and
was it
a
girl-boy party? Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. That's what happens in 7th grade.
That's the way to do them.
Yeah, you can't go out on dates. So, you go out there and they purposely put together the haunted trail.
Yeah,
right?
to get scared.
That's the idea.
Yep, and cuddle.
Yeah.
Oh, no, save me.
You go through there, and then all of a sudden he can slip the hand over and hold her hand in the dark. And no one would
Let's be real. This is a true story, isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying.
Remember.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We all had the haunted trail experiences.
Yeah.
Sitting around the bonfire and you inch a little closer. And
yeah.
So does your youngest have a girlfriend?
He does.
He does?
So
my older son, no, but my younger one, he's the social. Yes, he does.
Yeah, that's good. Because I just saw everybody going around last night.
Yeah, I didn't even pass out candy. Did you pass out candy?
No,
well, you're in the country.
We live out in the country. We live in Whitley County. So Columbia City's trick-or-treating was on Saturday. So my daughter and her husband have a house in Columbia City where they actually get trick-or-treaters. So that's our new tradition since they got married is we go and eat dinner at her house and pass out candy there.
Was there a bunch of people that came?
Yeah, a good number.
Yeah. See, if I was going to do it, I'd want to be the guy that sits on the porch and acts like you're a statue and then scare the crap out of people.
Somebody was actually doing that on Etna, except they were wearing not Freddy Krueger, but the
Michael
one.
Myers.
Yes. Did you see him?
No, I don't know.
Wait, no, not Michael Myers, the one that has the axe and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Who is that?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that one.
Yeah, I don't watch any of that stuff.
Me either.
What?
Leatherface.
That's who's the guy that's on. Do you watch that stuff, Dan? Oh, yeah. So
okay,
you like
listen.
all the scary movie stuff?
Okay, but if it was, middle of July and you saw this guy standing outside on Etna with that mask on, would that be okay? No. So it's
Why,
weird.
do you think he's going to?
No, but I just think it's weird. Who's behind that mask? Who is it? All the creeps get a day to be okay. Yeah. They get a pass.
So you think
yes.
that all of a sudden it's like the personification of a person's personality comes out on Halloween?
I'm not saying that.
For some.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the first time I get to dress up like I really want.
Yes, exactly.
I want to chop somebody up. So I want to be like that. So yeah.
Yep.
And people can see me and I can be completely okay.
It's completely okay.
Yeah, and people are going to
be their true weird selves.
Yes. So Melissa, tell us a little bit about what's going on because you got a lot of stuff going on in your life right now.
Oh
right?
my goodness.
It's football season.
Yes.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit what's going on with you. Then we'll kind of backtrack and talk a little bit about your growing up and life and stuff. So talk about what's happening in the life of Melissa Getz.
So just football or all the things?
I was just saying anything.
You should do football though.
I love it.
Because she has a cool story.
It's super exciting right now for the Getz house.
Excited about.
Yeah. So again, we live in Whitley County. So my 7th grader, RJ, was on an undefeated team and they won their conference. And I believe the school was saying it was the first time in 22 years. I want to
Columbia
say
City,
something like
on
that.
The up and coming.
So his 7th grade team did amazing and now their season's done. And then my other son, James, is a junior and he is on the Columbia State football team and they won all games but one. They lost one early in the season.
Wow.
Have won their conference. They'll play in the sectional championship this Friday. So it's been super exciting.
And are you like a football mom?
Yes, she is. Oh, just wait. Tell
President
him.
of the football booster.
Are you really?
Yes.
You're into all of that.
Oh, yeah.
She started a thing.
What's a thing?
Just listen. She'll tell you. Yes, that.
Okay, so last year was my first. Okay, so James's freshman year was COVID year.
Okay.
And so we didn't even get to do anything. The freshmen had their own games, but we didn't get to go to the team meals. I don't know if other schools do that, but we do a team meal. Usually freshmen go, but we didn't get to.
Okay.
And they had limited tickets to the game, so it was really only parents that had a kid playing. So freshman parents, we all tailgated outside the fence because we couldn't even get in to watch the games. Yeah.
She's that
hardcore. You couldn't watch your kid play at the tailgate?
Well, because he was a freshman. that year. So we could go to the freshmen. All the parents that had kids out there playing could go, but they had limited tickets, so they reserved them for the parents.
So they were the only ones
watching outside
for the freshman season. So that was, then last year it was his sophomore year. So our first go around with getting to actually participate in things of the team outside of the Friday nights and being out there and all that. So anyway, I feel like I'm jumping in this year fully immersed in everything.
But you started this what?
Oh yeah, sorry.
The pray? No, I didn't send him this picture or the last text. So this is a surprise.
Yeah. So last year being the first year that we got to participate in things. So like I asked Coach, I was like, do you care if we like have parents get together and pray before the games? And he was like, yes, we would love that. And so I started this prayer group last year. And then continued it this year, and it's just kind of grown. So I'm really excited about that. So basically last year was first year. So trying to figure out what's going to work if we do it in the morning or before the game at night and whatever. So it ended up that the mornings, just a few moms were able to come, which was fine. But so in the mornings we meet and go out on the field and just the moms that come, like it's the same group of us and they're more, I don't know, like further in their faith journey. So like praying for them is like we get into it. You know what I mean? Like
that's
we
awesome.
can do some really big prayers.
Right.
So that's our morning. And then 30 minutes before the game every Friday night, then there's just a big group of parents. And, my goal was, people that might not be comfortable praying, but like the idea of it or want to be a part of it. So like not everybody prays, like most people don't, but
they're there.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And it's been awesome to see that circle grow and those people there every week coming. And it's hard to remember because, you're there half an hour before the game and all the stuff's going on and you're getting your seat and, all the things. So I just set a reminder on my phone sometimes to make sure I don't get caught up talking to somebody and forget to go down. But but I'm really impressed because it is a little bit of work to remember to come down at a certain time and all the people that are like solid every week down there.
Right.
And so it's just been
And
really
is this something
amazing.
people can see?
Yeah, we always meet like on one side of the bleachers.
Okay.
That's amazing.
So whoever, we're right there.
Whoever walks by and stuff can see you.
And then we have our little team huddle at the end of our prayer and we're like, 1, 2, 3, go Eagles.
And you have shirts. You have shirts.
Yes, some of it.
Listen what the shirts say. This is my favorite part.
You play, we pray.
Isn't that cute?
Wow.
Yeah,
Colossians.
I think it's 3:2.
Maybe. I can't remember.
The verse that it's based on, but it's Colossians something. I think it's 3:2.
Right.
But anyway, so the shirts not everybody has, but next year that's our goal because we just heard, I don't know, somebody ran across it somewhere on the internet and we were like, so I did have a friend that made me one and a couple other people got them made. So next year, that's our goal is to get, if anybody that wants them to.
Is that a normal part of your personality being this intentionality to say, well, we're going to be here, but I'm going to try to interject God into wherever we're at? I mean,
I would like to think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't always think of it probably, but when I can,
Because I think that's what we would be trying to encourage people to do is to say, like, you're already a part of, how do we take God to the things instead of telling everybody to come see God?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
You always got to come to church, but what would it look like if we just take the things that our kids are doing or things that our families are doing or things that our husbands are doing or things that our wives are doing and say, so intentionally we're going to try to build something around that to bring faith, or the faith journey to that and then allow whatever happens because it's not and I think this is the important part. It's not like, wow, we want to do this because we want people to come to Life Church. I mean, that's not the idea. The idea is just introduce faith into something that people are already doing.
Yes.
Right? And you're seeing a pretty decent acceptance of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we could always have more, but it's a good number of people that are around the circle in the evening, the Friday nights and
not even the people that are in the circle, but the people that are witnessing it,
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like the people standing on the outside, they may not be praying, but something stirring inside their heart.
I will say that, so the mornings, again, there's just a few of us in the mornings, but one of the maintenance guys or whatever, like we're like in our little circle praying and we get done and say amen and look up and he was like standing like 6 or 8 feet away and he's like, I'm just praying with you. And I'm like, we were all like, oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That's so cute.
Yeah. And I think that's what people need to remember. A movement just starts with, we're going to try something. Nobody really knows, but it could become somewhat of a movement. Right? Like parents and more parents and now maintenance worker and somebody else. And nobody, again, I think too many times we try to think, well, what's going to be the end of it all? Well, who really cares? How about just do something? and come up with the idea and just be able to go out and do it. So I think that's a good thing for people to learn, right? So when we're saying, hey, how do we just take God to people and how do we evangelize? I think the thing that people forget is it's not as hard as you think.
It was just a natural thing. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't how do we go about this? It was just a natural thing. Right. And then for people to come on and be part of it, it wasn't like a pressure.
So let's bring that up because I think that's an interesting comment that it's a natural thing.
Right.
So you deal with a lot of people. So you've dealt with a lot of people through photography, through your grooming business, through women's small groups, through you've dealt with lots of different people. Do you think it's a natural thing for people to think like that, or is that very unnatural?
To think of starting something or
do just what you did. You know what? We're doing this. Prayer seems like a good idea. Let's try to bring this into it. It doesn't take, again, it's not like it took you a huge organizational.
Right.
It's not like you had to
permission.
start
Can we
a company,
do this? And then just,
and do it. I mean, you just decided, you know what? I'm going to try to interject something. I'm just going to try to do something. See, I think that's very unnatural. And I always wonder why.
Yeah.
Why is it unnatural?
I don't know.
Or what do you think? Maybe you think it's more natural than I think for other people.
Well, obviously it might not be so natural for most people, or otherwise it would, you would see more of it. I guess more what I was trying to go, I don't know. When I thought of it and wanted to do it, there wasn't a ton of planning or all this things. It was just a organic, I guess maybe is more a better. Yeah. It's just okay, let's do this. And I don't know. I feel like sometimes when you get all worked up about something, I really feel like I'm supposed to do this. And then you go through all this planning process and all these details and you make it way more difficult than what it needs to be. And I feel like this was just, God put the idea in my mind and asked the coach and gather parents and try to get more parents. And yeah.
I feel like it's like you've said before, just it's God's calling you to do something, just step out in faith. And then if it's God's behind it, then it will carry out.
And that's step out, just take the one step.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's just
that's what she did.
Permission, then set a time and see who can come and then take the next step and the next, you know what I mean? It's just it wasn't I think if I would have thought ahead of time and had all these intricate plans for it or whatever, there would have been more pressure versus just take one step and then see where it goes, take the next step instead of thinking of all the details, just do it.
Yeah, well, talk about that part because I think that's maybe the disconnect for people is that you said God put it on your mind, right? Well, I'm just assuming that we serve a God of the universe that wants to put a lot of things
on other people's minds,
other people's minds at the right time because I think he knows us. You give it too early. You know what I mean? A lot of people are you're going to overthink it.
Yeah.
And you're not just going to do it. So I think God's timing is always God's timing. So I think if we go with this whole idea of what you just said, you know what? If he puts it on my mind, I'm going to take a step. I don't really have to think about it. Because some people look at that, especially with me, they're like, well, you're just going to do it. Where's all the organization behind it? I'm like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
When organization comes later.
It's just going to happen. It's not, if he wants it to happen, it's going to happen if people are obedient to do it. And if it's not the right time or, you know what I mean, then there's hangups.
Yeah.
I mean, just.
Well, and they'll always say, well, you got all the details worked out. I'm like, I only got one. There's one detail. He said to do it. Yeah. So I'm just going to do it. And I have no idea what it looks like.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm talking about, one, how do you get to the place where, because I bet if you would talk to most people, they would say, you know what, I don't really ever hear from God. God never puts a word.
I hear that a lot.
So why not?
That is my mission in life. I love having small groups with women. That is what I want to see. I want women to be able to, because I feel like when I open up the word and I read it, I hear from God every time. And I want that so much for everybody. And that is on my heart. I want to be able to try to and I've thought about this a lot. And how do I help people, or how can all of us, the people that have found that way to connect with God and hear from him, how can we teach somebody else or help somebody else along? And part of it is willingness, I found. Because again, we've lived in a lot of different states. And so again, being around a lot of different people.
That's what I mean. That's
when
why
you're in one place and you just have the same group of friends for decades, I've been uprooted so many times in all these different groups of friends. And I think it unfortunately, and it grieves me that there's few people that have enough desire that want to go the mile to do it. I mean, everyone can say, oh yeah, I want to hear from God, because why wouldn't you? But then to actually take the steps to do it. Like God says, when you seek me with all of your heart, you will find me. And it makes me sad that it seems like there's not a ton of people that seek him with their whole heart enough to like keep on with it. You know what I mean? Like they'll try for just a little bit and then they just give up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't give up. You got, you know, it takes practice and it's not like overnight, but you can, he wants to talk to you. He wants to put his ideas, what he created you to do. He wants to share that with you. And I think it might not necessarily be an intentional thing that they just are lazy and just don't do it, but maybe they don't have the confidence. Like I see that a lot too. Like people don't have the confidence. Oh, I don't think I can do it. Like they don't think they can do it. Like they know God will show up, but they feel like they're going to mess it up. And so how do we get through those barriers to give people confidence, to give them the tools? You can hear from God. God wants to speak to you. You know, just keep after it and trying to meet people in where they're at, of what their hang up is, why they can't quite. I don't know.
Two questions with that. So one, you know, the funny thing to me is when I talk to people about, you know, God speaking to them. Because again, it's not like God speaks to me all the time, but I mean, I feel like I'm hearing him say stuff a lot. Like, and it's not like these great revelations. You know, it's not like he's trying to
do this.
That's what I mean. It's not like he's revealing the way to completely change everything. It's just like, hey, what about this little thing?
Little truth after little truth. And
yeah. And so one of the things they're like, well, you know, I'm just not disciplined in my quiet time. I said, no, wait a second. First, let's remember this. When the world was being completely revolutionized, there was no Bible. So let's remember that. They weren't studying the Bible. They were seeking God.
Right.
Yes.
So let's make sure. It's not that I don't think people should be studying the Bible, because you should. But just so you understand, most of those people that changed the world that you are now reading about weren't reading this story, right? So we can study it and we should study it, but also don't get so hung up on that the only time that he's going to speak to you is when you're studying the Bible, because he'll speak to you outside of that. And so, and then back to the confidence thing, the one thing that I wonder is that, because I could get it if somebody said, you know, God said this, but I don't have the confidence to do it. You know what I mean? Like he's still saying it. You know, I've heard people be like, I feel this. And then I don't have the confidence to do it, which we can then come alongside of them and say, you're right. You shouldn't have all the confidence. Part of that is pride. And that's why you surround yourself with people. And that's why you have a team. And that's why we're going to help you get it. Because some people are more naturally confident. You know, like you're more of an entrepreneur, right? So you're not going to have any problem. True?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
It's a personality thing.
Yeah.
Like God wires certain people certain ways.
Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah, for
it's
sure.
way easier for entrepreneurs to be like, you said start something new? I'm in. You know what I mean? Like that's just, and there are going to be some people that are going to be naturally like, I don't know. I'm not a starter. I don't know what that looks like. Either way, we both need support. You know,
and I think it's a vision. Like for me, like I can see the end. I don't know. And that's all different aspects of life. I don't know. Like moving, for example, we've moved so many times, and home design and like your home is really important to me and something that I love. And so just to use that as an example, like Ryan and I walked into so many houses and they were awful. And I'm like, oh, I love this one. And he's like, what? He's like, and he trusts me enough. Yes, but I could see like, okay, we can do this and this and this and change this and this. And this is going to be an amazing house. And he would just be like, well, I'm glad you can see it. But, and I don't know, like I can just a lot of times see maybe not exactly how it's going to end up, but I can have confidence in the vision of what it could be and know that, okay, I don't maybe know all the steps to get there, but I can figure, you know, we'll figure it out. God will, and if it's like a ministry thing, you know, God will work out all the details. And so lack of vision for, like, and again, that's a personality thing. Not everybody can walk into a situation and see an outcome and then figure out how to get that outcome. You know what I mean? Or what to pray for even, you know, God, here's the outcome. Like, I don't know, like if it's a spiritual thing, like walking in and seeing, okay, this is the end result. Like, I don't know, that's kind of prophecy, right? Like being able to speak to somebody and I see this for you, or, you know, I see the potential in you for this, and then they don't see it. And how do you get them to have the trust that that could be the outcome? You know what I mean?
Because I think that I still believe this. I believe that when he said he gives his young men and his young women dreams and visions, like, I don't think that's just to certain people.
No.
I
So
think it's anybody that is willing to
Yeah.
believe it and go after it.
And so I think for people like you and me, maybe Jenny, I don't know.
What? Like entrepreneur type person?
Like more of an entrepreneur,
No, but I'm a visionary dreamer type person, but I'm not a doer. That middle stuff is not me.
Well, but I'm just saying, so for me personally, it doesn't take as much faith because I see the end.
Yeah, that's
true. To be able to step into it. So it's
Yeah.
easier for me to be able to step into it. But the end result is always the same. He's trying to grow our faith. So it's easier for us because we can see something at the end than it is for some people who can't see the end.
Yeah.
But the result is supposed to be the same. Our faith is supposed to grow with every single step, whether you can see the end or you can't see the end. And so that's why, so you have been in many different churches, many different cultures, many different cities with many different women. Would you say that's the majority of your ministry? Not that you didn't do ministry with men, but you've done a lot of ministry with women.
Yeah. And just even, again, not necessarily ministry, but just like wherever we've lived. Like we've had, I don't know, and we've not lived anywhere more than like 3 years. Well, we've been back. I mean, we grew up here, but haven't lived here all of our married life until this month. October, end of October, it's 8 years, and we have only lived places for 3 years. Like all of our married life, we moved at least every 3 years until we finally moved back. So
you've seen a lot.
I jump into community, like wherever I'm at. So yes, churches and that community, but also neighbors.
Right.
Like we just, it was nothing, multiple places we've lived, not out in the country where we live now. It's a little more difficult, but younger years when my kids were littler and we lived more in town, which I'm a country person. I would not want to go back in town, but when we did, there was definitely like God put us in those places.
Right.
And we had so many people and just naturally like kids would come over to play, and it was nothing for neighbors to be like, hey, what are you making for dinner tonight? Well, I'll bring this over. Like just all the time, like we would do that, have dinner with each other, holiday, like we lived far from our family. So we didn't always get to go home for all the holidays. So that was our family, it was our neighbors, and just bringing people into our home. And
so what's the roadblock? So when we're talking through this, you've seen a lot, so I'm sure you have an opinion, what is the roadblock for people to engage in conversation with God? Because it's really simpler than what I think sometimes we make it. Engage with conversation and do what he tells you to do, right? Like we make it real complicated, I think, sometimes when we're like, what do we need to do to be able to hear from God? I think you just need to listen. I think if you're listening, I think you're going to hear. And you can listen in different ways. And whether it's through being in community or you hear from somebody, because that's part of listening. Sometimes the direct word of God comes through somebody else.
Yeah.
Especially when he tried to talk to you, but you didn't listen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It confirms it.
The direct word of God can come because your ears are closed, but he has a word for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Keeps
and
coming.
So being obedient in one, saying the word. So that's part of it. So our responsibilities, if you hear a word for somebody, you should say it to them, right? Because remember that he's been trying to get to them, and hasn't been able to get through. So you're the next step. So remembering that piece of it. And in the midst of working with women or other people or seeing all of this, what is it that when you look at it, not that there's a definite answer, but just in your own mind, what's the roadblock for people to hear and do? Like, what is that roadblock?
I think, well, I've seen a lot of different things, but a theme that I see is lack of intentionality, maybe. Like they want to, but
life is busy. It's too much to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be intentional.
Busyness.
Having systems in place. Like, I don't know if you've read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. That's a phenomenal book. But just, you fall to the level of your systems.
Yep.
So if you don't have, and I'm huge, like I love teaching people this too, like with your, even just taking care of your home, because that's been like a lost art. But how do you make it easy to do the things that you want to do, to build the life and the habits that you want to have that honors God?
Right.
And so, I think people lack those skills of how to, not necessarily with God, but definitely that's part of it. But like anything, like I think just teaching people, if you want to live this sort of life, how do you get there? And obviously we want to live a life that glorifies God. So what are the steps that we take? And I think people just don't know what to do. So then life just happens and they don't have a plan to fall to. So then they plan to, that's another quote. Like if you plan. Wait a minute. What is it? I'm going to get it wrong. Plan to fail, fail to plan, something like that. Like basically, if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. And so they don't, I don't know, they just don't get it or take the time to think.
So can I interrupt you?
Yes, because that's what you were talking about on Sunday, was having a backup plan.
Well, I would say this is and again, people say it's my personality, but the problem is you didn't know me 25 years ago. So I just had this conversation with Taylor. So 25, 28, however many years ago when I started youth ministry, zero organization in my life. I was not a planner.
Wow.
Did not plan one thing in my life. I was very spontaneous, did whatever, flew by the seat of my pants. Never had a plan for anything.
Wow.
Other than I wanted to be a millionaire before 40.
That
was the only plan that I ever had in my life. The only goal that I ever had in my life. So anyway, when I started leading youth ministry, people were attracted to my organic spontaneity for kids.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
To that thing. And so this is
what... Because that's exciting.
Right.
You know,
so this is what started my journey. So I had somebody come up to me that was part of the team of people that helped, you know, control the chaos, because that's what happens when you're not a planner.
Yeah.
Is you surround yourself with people that are just trying to control your chaos that you created.
Yeah.
You know, so they're just trying to keep it in place. Right. So he came to me and he said, you know what, at the end of the day, in the short term, you're very attractive to these kids, but in the long term, nothing will ever change. And here's the reason.
Oh, that's so true.
Here's the reason. Because you can't lead other people because you can't manage your time. And I said, from that day on, I will never be a person that won't manage my life around time block schedules for the purpose of knowing that if you are organized, you give God a chance to work. See, people think it's the opposite. People think, oh, it's going to be organic. Let whatever happen, because that's the way God works. It's not true. God is a God of order. And when your life is out of order, God can't work. I mean, again, I know people are going to be upset about that, but I'm saying if you have your life in order, exactly what you just said, managing things so that when God says, hey, you're like, hey,
yeah, it's like you just know.
That can work when you're completely disorganized and your life is flying around and you're getting things done, but you think, this is what I say to all people, surprising to me, how many people will be like, I am just so super busy. I'm like, listen, most people that are so overwhelmed and super busy are people that can't plan their time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what I think. They just get to that
absolutely.
place.
And again, how do we help people learn the skills to be able to do? Because I had to learn it for myself. Like, I didn't know it either.
Well, you guys, I'm one of those people, so we can talk about me. For real. No, I'm that way. But completely.
So people say to me, I'll tell them, when people come into ministry, I'll tell you, if you want to survive in ministry, the only thing I will recommend to you is a very strict time management plan.
I mean, the
rest of it will all fall into place. But if you don't know how to manage your own time, then you'll never know how to manage people and their time, you know, because that's the other key. The key to success, and this was the other thing that I was taught, the key to success in youth ministry at the time was not me, but it was my team. So the youth ministry will grow as far as the team of people that I can build around me. Not me. The success of Life Church is built by the people that you can surround yourself with, not about you. Because if you make yourself the lid of any ministry, then that's pride and you will go down.
And that's part of like being in different church. Like,
that's the problem. The problem is when you become the centerpiece of your ministry and only you can do it. Because I've learned, this was a struggle for me. It's been a struggle my whole life. Nobody can do it as good as me. Always. My kids, I'd grab the drill. Give me that stupid thing. How long does it take you to put in the stupid screw? Like, I could have had it done 10 minutes ago. Give me the chainsaw.
I fight with that too. Yeah.
Give me all of those
that
things.
That would be pride. I guess I just never,
for sure.
obviously, like me
you want to be
saying it.
excellent, and not everybody wants to be, you know, or I don't know. That's not always
it. Would go back to, is it in God's eyes importance
to do it by yourself?
Is the importance is to train or for you to believe that you're the only one who can do? If you think you're the only one who can do it, that's pride. That's for sure pride. Like it's saying, I'm the only person that can make this thing the way it needs to be. And I'm sitting here saying, well, God keeps reminding me of, that was never what it's about anyway. It's never about you. It was always about raising these people up around you, because you only be successful because when you're gone, it's gone. And you've built a legacy. So for all of my life, I've tried to figure this out of like saying, you know what, there are things that I would do completely different. And I think that if I grabbed it, I could do it better, but it won't last.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it doesn't make any difference,
Yeah.
And so this whole idea of how do we build those things up? So why is it so hard for people to manage their time? Like maybe you can answer this. Jamie. I never really thought.
Yeah.
So why is it so hard if eternity's on the line? Why is it so hard to just sit down and plan your entire week and put things together and make sure that you have moments for God to work? Because the other thing you have to plan is margin, right?
Absolutely. That was huge for me to learn that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't learn margin, so this is the thing that Franklin Covey teaches you from the beginning. If you don't learn to plan, you'll never be successful, and you never learn to plan for margin, you'll never be effective long term. Because even when you become a planner, you try to put in every block.
Yeah.
Then you get over planned, and then you can't get anything
And
done.
as a mom, those times that I get grumpy or short is when there's no
margin.
time. And when I've had to learn, there was a point in my life as a young mom that I just was like, this is not the mom I want to, you know what I mean? Like I just had to sit down and God, straighten this out for me. What are your priorities for me? And I had to like learn that. I remember that moment when I just had to be like, okay, I'm not doing well at what being the mom, the wife, the person that I want to be. And it's because I'm like going in too many different directions. And so I had to like sit down and figure it out and pray about it. And
Because there has to be margin, because that's where soul health happens.
Yes.
So margin is where soul, and when I say margin isn't something where you do nothing. Margin's where you do something that fills your soul, right? Like there's that margin. For me personally, I'll build in margin in my schedule that will be hunting, right? Or I'll build in margin in my soul that will be something, like whatever those things are. I build in margin because it's soul filling, and then again, margin of just like, don't schedule all your meetings back to back, but that's pretty.
And also I've noticed the margin is because God always works in interruptions a lot of time. And so if you've got your whole day and your whole week so scheduled out that you have no time for those interruptions, then you're missing those moments that God had somebody else, here. You're like, that's happened so many times. Like I've had a day of the week that I've just like purposely not scheduled things that I had to do. And how many times like there's been a person that was on my heart, okay, go have coffee with that person, see how they're doing. You know what I mean? Like
margin
those times wouldn't have happened if I had been so scheduled out that I didn't have any of that time. Plus your mood, like you were saying, do things that, you can have that time to where you're not burned out all the time.
So that when you come home, you're not like, nobody wants to be around you.
Well,
exactly.
So I am planner at like when I work. I've always been a planner when I work, and it's always, I do the over, like it's back to back to back. So I don't leave.
Overcommit.
Yes. And that's why I get so stressed out. So that's why my free time is completely whatever, because I plan too much. I'm not a planner naturally. Like it's just not me. I like to do whatever, whenever, but working, I can't do that. But I need to find that middle ground.
Well, and I think the other thing about planning, that this is what they teach you, is planning is not based upon a to-do list. Planning is based upon vision.
Yes. Like what are your goals?
I don't
do that. Yeah.
If you only plan around to-dos, you will get burnt out, even if you have margin, because you can't operate out of a to-do list. So what I always suggest to people is you have your to-do list and you plan a block to get your to-do list done. But after that, every block is about mission and vision.
And see, that's too, like, what is the meaning? Right. I mean, you can fill it all. I mean, I've had to learn this too. Like there are way more things that you feel like you need to get done than you'll ever have time to get done.
Absolutely.
And so, but then when you look at, like, you have to step back. Like this is what I tell people that are trying to like figure this out. I'm like, you have to step back. What is the life that you want? Which, we want the life God wants for us using our skills and abilities that he's given us with. So if that's your goal, like you need to get with God and figure out and like build in time to like get with God. God, what are your priorities for me? What are the things that you want me to do that are meaningful? Because that's the thing too. Like when we schedule all the to-dos, where's the meaning in that?
Yeah.
Where are you reaching people in that or having relationships in that? Like it's all get this, and this done as fast as I can and whip it out. Like who wants to be around that? You know what I mean? Like, there's an importance. You have to get things done. So like, I like how you said, those maintenance items that have to get done. Yes, build in time, but then again, find routines to get them done as quickly as possible.
No, for sure.
So they're not wasting time. That frees you up then to do the things that are meaningful and important and significant. And then those are the things that give you fulfillment and make you have a happy life, because you're doing the things that God wanted you to do. And there's such fulfillment and meaning in that.
But people hate it because, again, I have a block in my schedule that's part of my to-do is to answer emails. I have one block. It only gets done once a day, and people can't stand it. People hate that I'm not always available. And I'm like, I'm not going to be available. Like, you're not stealing away your urgency. If you're dying, call me. The rest of it is when it fits and when it is going to go in there, I'm going to do the best I can to get back with you, but I'm not going to get caught in your disorganization because you choose to not plan ahead or because you choose to not do the things that we think that you should be doing. And always remember this is that I think if you look at the model that God gave us, right? So the model that Jesus gave when he came was make yourself replaceable. Jesus spent 3 years making himself replaceable. So he had a very specific strategy to meet with 3 people that were going to be very good at replacing him. Then he was going to meet with these 12 people that he was going to equip to fill in the gaps. And then he spent time with 72 to give a vision. Yeah. Right? So I've always done that in my life. Like, I am going to try to replace myself for all of my life in every area of my life. And then the second thing that he did is that he spent his time leaving a legacy. He spent his time on things that were going to be forever and not things that were going to be temporal. So if you look at back to what you said, how do we schedule based upon bigger vision than, because there's always, and I tell people this, like, do you realize it doesn't matter in any phase of life that you're in, there's way more to do than you'll ever get done.
I never, when I was younger, I was like, oh, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. And I mean, I didn't have a problem saying no if I didn't want to do it, but I got to, had more kids and things started, I'm like, okay, I can't any longer do all the things.
No, I completely relate to that.
I remember having that realization for the first time that there's all these good things that I want to do, but there's no way I can do them all. And I had to come to that realization. And along that line, another thing that I've learned, and this helps me when I get over busy, is when you say yes to one thing, then you're automatically saying no to something else. And I heard that or read that somewhere. And I'm like, that made a huge difference in my perspective of I might say yes and then not realize the consequence, good or bad, of saying yes to that thing. But you know what I mean? Like, you only have so much time, so much energy. And so when you say yes to something, then you're automatically taking up that time that something else would. And maybe it's a good thing. Obviously there's good things that we do say yes to and take up our time and energy for, but that it really makes you focus on what are the priorities. Say yes to those things, because when you say no to a lower priority thing, like for you, like answering emails any time of the day or text whenever somebody, then you're saying no to that time and that distraction. So having multiple businesses and all these people emailing me, all the freshman parents at the beginning of the class, what do I do for that? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's overwhelming.
All these constant, and I could not get anything done. And I'm like, I can't do this. And I had to put that away and do it. I had to do the same thing, because you can't do the other things if you're constantly getting interrupted and changing your train of thought. I get focused in on something and then all of a sudden this email and I'm like,
story of my life.
So I had to learn I will get back to them in a good time, but I can't be immediately dropping everything, because literally there's
somebody wants
I have people scheduling this, scheduling that for my 2 different businesses. That I got so stressed out, and I'm like, okay, I can't do this. I need to and then again, so what I think the key is, when you get to those moments where things are getting out of whack for you, can you sit back and make a plan, or do you just let it stress you out? And I've always been one to okay, I need to sit back and make a plan of how to handle this. Right?
Wow.
He sneezed.
Yeah, that was the sneeze that about made my heart stop.
Wow. But when things aren't working, do you sit back and ask God for wisdom? Like, okay, God, how can I make this better? Obviously, this is not going to work. I can't do this.
Right.
But I need to do certain things. So how do I make a plan or a routine, or back to falling down to your system, make a system to handle it?
Right. So let's go back to what you said, though. And again, I know people that might be listening are thinking oh my gosh, when in the world when did Christianity follow around time management? And I've always said it is the first thing that you'll need to realize. Jesus, if you read scripture, Jesus was very specific about his time.
And he was never
timely.
He did when he needed to get away. He got away. He didn't allow distractions happen. He came and he was with crowds when he needed to, and he got away when he didn't need to. He was very specific on where he traveled to, what message. He was very specific on sitting around tables with the people that he wanted to, because naturally he would have sat at a Pharisee's table, but he had to very specifically say, I'm going to the sinner's table, right? Those are all plans. Like he did not just, when you read the Bible and you watch Jesus, he didn't just be like, who's invited me over tonight? Just kind of whatever I want to do. Like he very specifically said, I'm coming to your house, Zacchaeus. I'm going to your house. I'm going to the top of the mountain to do this. He was very specific on how he was going to spend his time based upon his determination of work, right? So when you said, well, what works and what doesn't work? Jesus had a very clear determination. He came, work was this, 2 things. Show the character of God, seek and save the lost. So everything that he did, he had to filter through, because honestly, his time for most people was, why don't you come to the tabernacle and read scripture? Yeah. Because that's what a rabbi would have done, right? So everything that he did went against the natural grain and came back to, I have to plan this, because if I just go naturally down the road, I'm going to naturally pick Pharisees. I'm going to naturally end up in a tabernacle. I'm going to naturally do these things. So he said, okay, why am I here? And I'm here to show the character of God, and I'm here to seek and save lost people. So if you look at Jesus, he specifically planned his time to be able to do those things. So that's why he went to the Father for instruction every day. When he says, I don't do anything unless God tells me to do it, it's because he specifically planned a time to go listen to God, and then he did then he planned the rest of his day around those things. So that's why, I always tell people, you know what part of our problem is? You have zero evaluation. Like you have no idea how to evaluate what works and doesn't work. Here's how you think work works. Stay busy. And I'm like, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Then you get burnt out, and then you look back at your life and like, there's no.
What did I do? All I do is run around. Yeah. And I'm like, why are you running around? Well, I don't know, because there's 1,000 things to do.
It's like the urgent hits you and you do whatever comes next, and you don't think about it.
Because you have not defined what works, right? You have not defined those things. And each one of us has a capacity that's different.
Sure.
So every single person in this room also has to admit what Marcus Buckingham said a long time ago in his books. He talks about the problem with people is they try to get good at what they're bad at. And so they're always like, they go from bad to good. And he said, if you want to make a difference in the world, you need to go from good to great and let somebody else do the bad. And nobody wants to admit that. Yeah. Like people will ask me about certain things that are happening around the church. And I'm like, I have no idea. And they're like, how could you not have any idea? I'm like, because it's not my strength and I don't want to know. It's not my thing. There are people here that do it. And they do a really good job of it, and I don't need to know.
Then you say no to that, and that frees you up to do what you do. Frees me to do what
I'm good at. I'm good at meeting with people. I'm good at sharing vision. I'm good at training leaders. I'm terrible at the rest of it. Terrible. So I'm okay admitting it, because I tried to be good at those things for a really long time, and all I did was run around. And it took me 5 times longer to get it done. So I would have created a team around me that offset my weaknesses so that I could go and do the things that I'm good at and be good at it. And I think that's the same for all of us. But the problem is you don't want to admit what you're bad at. And I don't have any problem doing that.
We know that.
No, I know. I have zero problem saying, nope, I ain't doing that. I'm terrible at that. Find somebody else.
Well, and then when you do that, then that empowers somebody else. Absolutely. You know what I mean? It shows that you trust them, that you don't have to have a hand in every single thing. You trust that they're going to do well and use the giftings that God had. And then it lets other people feel like, okay, I'm doing something with my gifts from God too. And being led. Instead of it all being you and you get all the, you know what I mean? It lets God work through all the people in the ways that he made them to work.
Yeah, I've always said the reason people don't create teams is because they're prideful. If you don't create a team, here's the reason you don't create a team. You don't create a team because you think your way is the only way. Nobody can do it as good as you. And that if you bring on somebody else, right, that is going to do it, you don't really trust it. So you're going to have to be over it all the time. I'm like, dude, here's what you've just done. You have robbed God. Of that person's call.
Yes.
You've robbed him. You've said that only God can work through you. Well, who are you? right? Like God works through all of these people, and it might be different.
Yeah.
But what you've done is you've stolen away God's opportunity because you're so prideful that you think it can only be done in one way. We have got to get over that. Like, let's stop stealing God's.
Yeah.
What God wants to do with people. Since when does he want it to be about any of us? Right.
Which is so true, because with me and creating a photography team, a couple of the people, like one, for example, wouldn't have come back to church if I wouldn't have asked her, because she's just, she needed a reason to come. And the other one is a crazy story too. So it's just amazing to see, like, and I had a hard time, not necessarily
giving up control.
Yeah, I guess so. But I just never really thought that it was a pride thing. I just thought it would be harder to train somebody or just to have somebody with me, but it's actually easier.
And again, take that wrong. I mean, don't take it the right way. When I'm saying pride, it's all of the time where we give away control, you become more dependent, right? You are independent when you don't have to give up control.
Yes.
Anytime you build a team, anytime you give things, anytime you're training your kids, you are giving up a sense of control. That was what's hard for me. Like, both of my boys run my businesses right now. I go and help, but I really don't have anything to do it. And they lead it completely different than I do. They're way better than me, at getting some of these things done. They have giftings that I don't have. Like, they are I'm more of like, I'll meet with you because we have something to talk about. They are way relational.
Really?
They go to people's houses.
Yeah.
Like,
they do?
They have people bringing him gifts during the, like, Isaac has people bringing him cookies.
Wow.
I'm like, ain't no employee bringing me cookies. Like that.
Probably because they knew you wouldn't eat them.
I'm just saying they are gifted. And so those businesses, now that I am out of the way, flourish compared to, and
That's
I don't
amazing.
have a part of like taking the lid off to help them continue to get better, take the lid off to help the businesses make money. But the businesses and the employees flourish because I got out of the way. See, before I was always in the way. And anytime there came something difficult, like Isaac, the good thing this comes out later, like Isaac's firing somebody tonight.
Oh, no.
And
Is this
so
his
it's
first
first
time?
experience to be able to have to fire somebody. And so we're talking through all of, do you want me to do it? And again, in him, he knew, I just want you to do it. But he's watched over this time where I've just said no, because you know what happens when I get in a room, right? I take over.
Yeah, you do.
It's just a problem. I get in a room, I don't even know how to stop it. I really don't. I don't know it's a personality problem.
Yeah, it is.
I get in a room and I just take over
It's not a
whatever's
problem.
going on. Well, it is when you can't shut up and your son's supposed to be leading.
That's true.
It is in those environments. So in it, and he knows that. And so over the course of the last 6 months, he's really done a good job of meeting with his employees. And when I'm out of it, he has to do it. And he's had to learn.
Oh, that is a key. Yeah.
So
when
now
you have, because too many times there's somebody who's done it longer or more, whatever. And so you just sit back and suddenly when they're gone, then, and you have to do it, then that's when you step up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And giving
like
people
Brady.
those opportunities.
Brady's leading 10 people that are all older than him and that have more experience in the pig industry than he does.
Wow.
And over the course of the years, that was his biggest struggle. And I just told him, I can come and help. Well, I always say I can come and help, but I never have any time to come and help. So I don't even know why I say that. So he's had to learn, and he now does way better.
Wow.
In fact, he had somebody come out from PIC, our genetic company, said, I've never seen the employees in the farm ever be like this before.
Wow.
Ever. And so I'm just saying, our point is, I would rob from those two young men what God wanted to do in their life if I always had to be there. Well, that's pride, right? The pride of saying, only if I'm involved, can this go the way it's supposed to go?
Yeah.
Or only, that was a big thing that I had to, take a step back, let God do what he wants to do in the lives of other people because you give him a chance.
Yeah.
So that's more of what I was saying from pride, is that we struggle sometimes giving up control.
Yes.
I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That was
intense.
That was almost 35 minutes
Was it?
of planning, learning to plan.
It was good though.
But I think, again,
it was.
what we could learn from what you're saying, because you have been through this and you're doing it today. You're saying we want people to hear from God. So just to make it simple, hear from God and be able to do, right? So what we're praying for is helping people get into these positions where they can hear. And then once they hear, have the availability that they're not running the rat race so much that And don't, because this is the other reason I think people run the rat race, is because I think of pride too. When people look at other people and say, look how busy they are, they're like, I know. I'm so busy.
Yeah.
That's a prideful thing. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're effective.
Oh, absolutely.
But a lot
so
of people
true.
will be like, I mean, how many times do you come up to somebody and be like, how you doing?
Busy. Yeah.
And we almost say it as a sense of a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Here's a badge of honor. Look at all of
really
these things
is.
that I'm doing. Instead of, nope, I'm being effective. Let me tell you about the effectiveness of my
Yeah.
life. Instead of me running, not sleeping.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking to the choir.
Right.
I'm speaking to myself.
Oh, I have to check myself
Same.
all the
me
time.
too.
All the time.
Same.
too, because that's my same thing. Is it's like,
Yeah.
if I'm not doing something, you got to be doing something. Like, instead of just saying,
Yeah.
like, part of this is I need this in my life. And so hopefully people can take and learn from you. Because if you haven't been around or been in some of Melissa's small groups, or that's part of what you're teaching in all of what you're doing is those two principles. Like, you're not running a time management class,
if you're, and I tell my group this all the time, like, just because you're here and listening, but if you walk away, or Sunday morning, same thing, I'm sure you feel the same way Sunday morning. Like, if you walk out of here and nothing changes, then what is the point? Like, there's no point.
I probably shouldn't ask this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is your women's small group open to women?
Yes.
Okay, so find Melissa, get with her. She is a great gift.
Yeah.
And again, I've heard it from people. Like, if you want to get involved, when does your small group meet?
Mondays.
Mondays at 6:30. And we have room for a few. We've had a few that have had to go for other reasons. So we do have a few openings.
Yeah, so that's my point. So if you want to reach out, you want to get under someone's leadership that does and has been through, these things, get with Jenny. I don't know how to actually
I think I have some people that are interested
But get with Jenny,
Yeah.
and Jenny will get you connected to Melissa.
Yeah.
Because again, this gets worked out not by yourself.
Right.
Right.
So back to this whole time management thing. I paid, when I had $0, $3,000 for a life coach. When this guy said this to me, because the only way I was going to get it done was with community and not hoping I would get it done.
Yeah.
The same thing that we're talking about, to go down these roads, to hear and obey and hear and obey, and time management and keeping each other in check, because that's the other thing small groups do, is accountability.
For sure.
Hey, you say, but you're not doing.
Yeah.
So in community, these types of things will happen. So it'll be a good opportunity for people to get into community, because that will always be my suggestion. Seek a person out and try to find somebody that's been down the road that can help you get it done.
Yeah.
And that's what I love to do. Like, I would love to have more people, even just one-on-one or whatever,
Right.
because that's what, I don't know.
Yeah,
your passion.
That's what you're good at.
I love that. And
Yeah.
just
That's what you're
seeing
good at.
them be able to do something that they could, were struggling, and be able to get it, and how that's going to change their life and their family's life and everybody, there's such a ripple effect when they can learn to hear from God and be in deeper relationship with him.
Right. And I think it just starts with this. And I'll say this to all of our audience. When I'm talking about pride, part of our problem today is admitting we won't admit that we need somebody. Like, I've been dreaming for a really long time, and I hope this comes to fruition someday, is I want to put a life coaching network together that's here at Life Church. It's like a life coaching leadership network that people can admit, you know what, I don't know how to do my time management. So I need a life coach to be able to help me get it done. Like, it's okay to admit it. It's okay to admit, I don't know how to take care of my budget. I don't know how to take care of, because all of those structural things give you opportunities to allow God to work.
Yeah.
If your money's out of order, if your time's out of order, and your life's out of order, you can say all you want to hear from God, but he's probably not speaking. So how do we create a network?
Yeah.
Because in the church, sometimes our default is always like, learn more about the Bible. Now, your time management's terrible, your money management's terrible, and your life's out of control. But if you learn more about the Bible, you for sure will get it right.
Right.
So I'm saying, can we partner?
You got to connect.
Yeah, can we connect the two together? So can the church provide a coaching network, that people, like, you want to get your budgets together, if you want a life coach, can help you do all three, and keep you accountable. Because I think that will help finally connect the dots of wanting to and effectiveness, right? Because I just don't think they're ever put together.
Yeah.
I think we say, if you want to learn the Bible, go to church. If you want to learn about
And it's all
budgets,
disconnected.
go
Most
somewhere
people
else.
can't on their own connect the
Right.
things.
Yeah, you can't connect why Jesus would tell you money management, time management, life management is key to the gospel. Right? Like, we want them to be, we know that they're connected. We should help connect them, instead of saying, learn your time management, money management, life
Right,
management
go somewhere
somewhere
else.
else. We'll teach you the gospel, and they can never connect the two dots together. How powerful would it be if the church would teach how it connects?
The practicality. How do
Yes.
you make it practical? Go from the book to
Yes.
doing it in your life.
Yeah. How do we put those two things together?
Another thing that I thought of when you were talking, just like learning from other people. So, and I don't remember what the quote was, but something like when you read a book, you're learning, people
Yes.
that write of their knowledge and what they've learned through trial and error. So like you're getting like certain books that you read, and I know you read a lot, you're getting their whole life lesson and life's wisdom by reading one book. You know what I mean? And if you can keep some of that and collect, you know what I mean? Like every time you read a book or learn from somebody else, you're collecting bits and pieces. And I look back at all the people that I've been blessed to get to know, and I take little bits, I've learned little things to incorporate in my own life from so many people. And it's just like such a blessing.
Right.
And I want to be able to do that for other people too. So like, how can we that have figured some things out in all different aspects, how can we impart that to other people?
Yeah.
Right.
And again, they on their part, they have to want it and put the time in to do it. And I think part of the problem is people aren't willing to, I'm just too busy. And they don't, and I'm like, I want to tell them, okay, but your life is going to be so much better. You're going to be so much more effective. You know what I mean? If you set the time to do this. And so it's hard for people to get that in their mind. I think sometimes that they think it's just a time commitment and they don't get the reward that it's going to be for them. That's totally going to be worth it.
Well, and again, let's just be honest, and we should be able to do this. You should be able to admit when your life's a failure.
Yeah.
And when we say failure, we need to understand that if you call yourself a Christian, success is not defined by you being busy all of your life.
Yeah.
So let's just say busyness is not the meaning of success, and so we have to be okay admitting at times we're failing, right? And I just think it's too hard and I don't even know why this is. Like, I don't know why it's so hard just to admit that, man, I'm failing big time. I need help. Why is that so hard? Why is it hard do you find that hard for yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
Why?
I mean, I don't know. I just think like,
Do you think people look at you differently if you say, you know what, I'm failing right now?
I'm not sure. So I go back to like my addictions.
Okay.
I held on to those for as long as I could because I didn't want to own up to the fact that like I had a problem. So, I mean, it's essentially the same thing in a certain aspect. Like for me now would be time management and I guess not leaving enough space for effectiveness and for God to really speak in other ways or just to like help people, I guess.
So is it hard to admit it? Like,
Yes.
Is it hard to just say that? And the reason, because you think somebody will judge you and say, like, you think that it's like if you say I'm struggling with my time management, somebody will look at you?
I just think I don't want to face it.
Oh.
I like to run from my problems.
Oh, so you don't care what somebody else thinks?
No, I do. I care about what everybody else thinks.
So, like it makes you uncomfortable to think that you're not good in an area or as good as you want to be in that.
I don't know.
Is that it? Like I
just don't want to not face it, but I just don't want to. I'd rather not talk about it.
And so I feel like for some people that I talk to, it's again that lack of confidence. Like they don't see a path to it. So you just think that I can try and I'm not going to get there. So I just don't want to. Is that more? Because I see that mindset and people that, again, back to the vision, like they don't have the confidence to think, there is a path. I just need to get with God and get the wisdom or get with other people that can help me figure out the way to get to the person that I want to be, that God's calling me to be.
Yeah.
And so then when you feel like you don't know the pathway to get there, then you just shut down.
Yes. Because I can see the end goal. I can see the vision. Like when I'm dreaming, I can see all that, but I don't think I can do it. So it's it's myself.
I think that's pretty cool.
And again, I think because this is me. So I told everybody that works here, like part of the problem is that I have this huge vision of all of these things. I already know I can't get them done. But in the beginning, people wanted me to stop sharing them because it was so overwhelming to the staff and so overwhelming to the church.
I get that, And
I'm like, dude, you're going to kill me. Like, I'm going to say it. Like, I'm just going to tell you, like, this is the vision. Here's what I already know. I know I can't do it. And I know right now we can't do it. But that doesn't mean that we can't take one step closer today. That's all I was trying to say. And for all of us, I think we got to get over this idea that you got to complete it all. No, you just need to complete one step. and then one more step, and then one more step.
And maybe, like you were saying, it's other people coming. You know what I mean? That people that aren't even
like
here
who
yet
even knows?
that
Yeah.
are going to come and be a part and further it down the road.
Right. So I said back to when I talk to our staff and we talk about these big things, you realize that when you become the lid, you're robbing God because now you're not at least allowing him to bring some people to something because you shut it down because of you. Right? Like we have got to get to this. Stop shutting it down right away. How about start here? God has a vision. You're right. I can't do it. You can't do it. We can't do it, but God can. So let's pray on it for a while and see what God, let's sit down in a meeting with somebody and say, here's some things we've been thinking about. And maybe that person will be like, you know what? I've been thinking about the same thing. And we shut it down before it ever got started because we always look at how it affects us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every time something goes out there, it's like, oh my gosh, this is how it's going to, I'm going to be so busy and I'm going to take this away from me. And then they start this whole, I'm like, geez, Downey. I mean, what in the world?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, how about take this word to other people and see what God wants to do? Because it could come back to nothing, or it could come back to one step and one step and another step. And there could be people sitting out there today that are waiting for you. But we don't talk to them because we're like, but it'll overwhelm me and I'll never be able to do. And I get so busy. I'm like, that's so unfortunate that we won't at least allow God to work outside of our capacity.
Yeah.
Because we realize this, right? Every time you work inside of your capacity, you get the glory. Every time you work outside of our capacity, God gets the glory. So work outside of your capacity. Right? We've got to get to that place, or move to that place so God can get the glory and not us,
And if you look at, I'm thinking of a couple different stories in the Bible, it's a faith thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And whenever people, God gave some of them a vision and then others are like, oh no, we can't do that. Then it kills it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The lack of faith kills it for the people that wanted it. So Joshua and Caleb, they go in with the spies and see the promised land and Joshua and Caleb, God said, this is ours. He's going to give it to us. And everybody else is like, oh no, we could never do that.
Yeah.
And so then it kills it for everybody. You know
so
what
they
I mean?
wandered 40 years in the desert.
Because of lack of faith. And then I think Hebrews is at chapter 4 talks about that. You don't get to that place of rest because you didn't have the faith for it.
Sure.
And so you don't get to those places where God can do the amazing things because you didn't have, what you were saying, you put the lid on it. You'd think, oh, there's no way in human thinking that could happen. And so then it just...
Yeah, or just, or if you remember, when they were
it.
talking, I don't know the exact story, but they were talking about the idea of there was no water. So God said, go out there and start digging ditches, right? So he told all the people, go out and dig the ditches. And they gave the word to the king, and so when he gave the word to the king had to give the word to the people. So the first thing that the king worried about is, what are the people going to think? Because if I ask them to do, and it's going to take so many people to get done. And so if he would not have said to the people, dig the ditches, those people that then watched him fill up, when there was no water, he would have robbed all of them of seeing the vision of God.
Right.
What happens inside of the church? Well, I'll have to ask more volunteers and I'll have to do. And if we ask all these people, I'm like, you might be robbing God of what he wants to do in that person. So they might say no. Well, join the club. Everybody says no. You know what I mean? Everybody goes down those roads of saying no. But are you robbing God from the opportunity because you never ask?
Yeah.
Because you never do. But isn't that what happens in everything that we do?
Yes.
God said, go pray. Then you could have been like, okay, I'll just go pray myself and I'll just go do myself. But he said, no, go and gather the people. And look how many people have been blessed because you just went and asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say earlier too. So one of my son's baseball players that goes to a whole different high school because it's a summer team. She was like, hey, I noticed, because I made a post last year of one of our prayer circle, whatever. And I was like, here's my girls' Friday morning prayer, whatever. And she saw that on Facebook and was like, hey, I want to know more about that. I'd love to start that at my school. And I just spread like that. I didn't even think about that. But, you never know where you doing one thing might lead to somebody else getting a different idea. And she might have taken it a whole different way, or her school,
Right. Right, because we get stuck in this idea that we want to ask, we don't want to burden other people. Again, pride, right? I don't want to do, when it was up to you anyway. Who was it for you to decide whether it was going to burden somebody? That's all, let that get worked out with God.
Yeah.
You just ask. This isn't a burden to somebody else, or when we ask people to do things, it could be a great blessing. That person could be like, I did this, and after I did it, I was so like, wow, I was so moved because you ask, to be able to do those types of things.
Absolutely.
So, are we at an hour already?
Yep.
I feel like, yeah.
Sorry. You're going to have to come back on.
I know. I know.
We only got through, you just have to come back on because nobody got to know you
Yeah.
really. So you'll just need to schedule her back on. But we can't keep her on because really she has a huge story.
I know.
Like, and her story is incredible. Stories of faith, family, and the things that you've done. So we'll just have to you on again because I think what we talked about can be a big blessing to people, of how you've done that and seen those things work in your lives and learning those principles so they can hear from God. But once you hear her story, you're going to see how it worked, right? Which is some of the cool stuff that we'll have to get to again. Will you come on again?
Sure.
Good.
Yay.
Okay, so let's do questions.
Question time. Yes. Here we go. So the questions that I'm about to ask you, I send out a text each week and let everybody know who the guest is going to be. And then they come up with questions. So that's why I asked you for a picture. And I didn't use the one I really wanted to use, which what animal was that? Was that a little dwarf?
It's a miniature horse.
Oh, it was so cute.
He got out. Well, it's a miniature horse.
Oh, okay.
A miniature horse.
He got out and was at the neighbors at like 7:30 one really cold winter morning, and I had to go get him.
It was so cute. It was a picture
Leave
of her.
it to a pony.
Yes.
They're always the ones.
A little pony, but he was so cute. Okay. Kaylin Griffith wants to know, what is her favorite Thanksgiving food?
Ooh,
That's a good one.
man, that's
Probably my grandma's stuffing.
Stuffing.
I've learned how to
Seriously?
make it. I don't think I make it quite as good as her, but that's probably
Stuffing's good.
Stuffing is good.
Yeah.
If you
I've
make
been
it a
a little
certain
worried
way.
about eating stuffing.
Why?
I never eat it.
See,
don't know.
Ryan doesn't.
Why?
Either.
I used
I
to
don't
not
know.
like it, but have you
I
ever
don't
had it
know.
from the box?
I don't know. Like
It's
the thing
really
is not
good.
from the
So this
box.
It is so good though from the box. So
This is
I
what I hated
guarantee
about
that.
Thanksgiving is that you have turkey that you could barely choke down. Like turkey's so dry.
Yes.
Right? So you get this turkey, then you'd have to. I love like mashed potatoes and gravy, and all of the dessert part of it. But I'm like, can we have a different meat? Can there be like a different
Ham.
thing that we can eat that doesn't make you choke down?
Yes.
Your
Well,
food?
you gotta cook the turkey right then.
You
You're
do.
Right. That's
Ryan
the
needs to teach you because Ryan does
does
really
a good
well.
turkey.
Yes.
Okay, Ryan, look me up. Teach me how to cook a
Yes.
turkey because
Yeah,
I'm in
'cause,
charge this year of the meat because we're gonna, have all the kids over and Sarah's kids are gone, so we're having all my kids in and we're gonna do the
That'll be
Thanksgiving and
fun.
I'm in charge of the meat. So yeah, I won't do the mistake I did last year, which was I'm gonna smoke a turkey and I bought a smoked turkey and smoked it again. It was like Christmas vacation.
Oh my gosh.
You know where you stick it.
Didn't you have to order something else? Or what happened?
So I had a ham.
That's
that I
right,
did, and
that's
I did
right.
A smoked turkey. I thought it wasn't
A double
smoked.
smoked
A double smoked tastes like
Oh my
crap.
gosh.
Terrible. Yeah, learn from that. Sorry.
Wow.
Stuffing.
Stuffing.
What's yours, Jenny?
Sweet potato casserole.
Oh, that's good too.
I could eat that every day of my
Date
life.
pudding.
Ew.
I've never had that.
Ugh. Sherry's grandma used to make date pudding, and no one else ate it but me. And it was, seriously, it was so good.
Are there crumbs in it, like graham cracker
Yeah, what did I
crumbs?
describe
It's
it?
kind of like a cobbler. So it's
Oh.
like
So kind
date-
of like a dessert?
Yeah,
I mean, not a dessert,
just
but
for
like
sure
kind
dessert. Yeah, and you put
Oh.
really sweet and put whipped cream on it. and all.
Okay,
I
so it's
just
not
eat the crap.
literally a pudding, like chocolate pudding.
No. It would-
Tapioca
I don't know why
pudding.
they call it date pudding. I guess now that you say that, it looks like a cobbler, but it's. Well, I guess
bet
I
that's
never made
good.
it, but I'm assuming it has dates in it. I'm assuming that's
Well,
why they.
it's very
Dan, what's
confusing.
yours?
Mine is my mother-in-law's green bean casserole.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Cheese on it. and
Ooh.
Cheese on green bean casserole.
I've never had cheese on green bean
I haven't
casserole.
either.
Like there's nothing. Like I could eat just that, not anything else.
That's
Jenny,
how I am with sweet
maybe
potato
you
casserole.
should get people to say this is my favorite and send in the recipe. So all
Yes,
of us we
I
can
know. I was like, I need those recipes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be fun.
get them to send them in to that number or put it on our Facebook
Yes.
or do something, and we could share like different stuff.
Oh,
and
that
we
would
could
be
try it.
fun.
Just like Ryan can teach us all how to cook
Yeah?
a turkey.
Yes.
Yeah, or be able to do it right. Yeah. Okay.
Good thought. All right, here we go. Melissa, what is your favorite dog and least favorite dog to groom and why? Also, do you have any horror stories with any of your clients, being that yesterday was spooky season? Or since yesterday, being that spooky season ended yesterday?
Oh boy.
Anonymous.
Okay, so there's multiple questions there. favorite and least favorite to groom?
Yes.
Which are the hardest to groom? Doodles.
That I know that's what I was thinking.
Everybody's got a doodle.
Doodles. They're crazy.
doodle.
Every doodle's crazy. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Somebody
Speaking of somebody that has 2 doodles.
Do you have 2 doodles?
They're great dogs, but yeah,
They're
not
wild.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think they lose their brain.
Aw.
I think it's the
Ryan would
poodle
agree.
in it.
Ryan would agree.
The
No, well,
poodle.
poodles are smart. Golden retrievers are the like, oh, I
Yeah,
love
they
you.
are very
And
much
like,
so.
Man, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've never seen a golden doodle, but Sarah has a Aussie doodle. I love my Australian Shepherds. They're the best dogs we've ever
yeah,
owned.
the Aussie.
But what about
That doodle thing, there are times if I could pick it up and break its neck.
that's only because it bites you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Listen, the other day, and Sarah's like, well, he's just Ethan and Sarah were going down the road, walking, right? Just walking down the road. Sarah does something. Ethan goes to smack her. That dog jumps up, bites him on his love hand, bites Ethan, leaves teeth marks and a bruise like that big. And they're like, well, just protecting. I'm like, if that dog ever, because there were times I'd go down to kiss Sarah, and that dog tried to bite me in the face at one time.
Oh my!
I said, if that dog ever bites me in the face, Sarah,
Oh my
you
gosh.
might have to see a massacre right in front. But anyway, sorry, I took your question. But
Wow.
I thought doodles were a little, but it's not the poodle. that
well,
does
I
it.
mean, standard poodles are really smart.
Don't blame the golden retrievers, guys.
And I love golden retrievers. They're
Maybe it's a
super happy.
combination.
Okay.
So it's just I don't know. The
So that's what you have as
in
golden
my
doodle?
mind, the golden retrievers are just so happy and loving that
They're
it's not like a cerebral, whereas
They're
a poodle
wild.
kind of hang back and you can,
Okay.
they think about things more. I think that's just my
Oh.
observation.
Well, yeah, Goldens don't. They're
So
They're
you
just
have
like,
golden
it's a
doodles?
person. So I have a mini golden doodle and a mini labradoodle, which actually that's my son's dog because he begged my youngest RJ.
Okay.
Like he asked for a dog for
Okay.
like a year. And so finally last summer when it was around his birthday, we found, and it happened to be lab. I don't, after not having shedding dogs, I was like, I don't
Yeah.
really want to go back to shedding
No,
dogs.
I
that's
get that
hence
part of it.
I mean,
I
there's
do
lots
get
of
that
other
part of
dogs
it.
that I really like,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I
The
can't deal with the
shedding.
hair.
Oh, yeah.
So, and now his labradoodle sheds. Labradoodle
Really?
shed. Well, golden doodles, in my experience of grooming, golden doodles do not
That's weird.
much shed at all.
Okay.
But labradoodles, and not all of them, because again, you got the F1, F2. If it's got more poodle, but if it's like half poodle, half lab.
What?
So there's like different, like if you breed a lab to a standard poodle,
Okay.
then you get a labradoodle. But
Okay.
then there's not just that. They'll take the doodle and breed it to a poodle you know what I mean? Like there's second generations,
No, I
whatever.
didn't
So
know
then it
any of
ends
that.
up being more 3/4 poodle and only a quarter lab. So like you can get some that don't, but like he's half and half and he sheds. Not as bad as a lab.
right.
Lab shed really bad. And
Nothing
he's-
sheds as bad as a golden retriever.
Right. No, I don't
Those do
know.
like
If you keep a golden retriever groomed, they are more of a seasonal shedder.
Really?
Well, you better
compared to
tell
a lab.
Isaac that to get
Compared
his
to a lab.
dog to the groomer. More
I know,
often.
my
'Cause
dogs
you
are
can get
bad
all
too.
that undercoat out, whereas a lab doesn't really have the undercoat. They just shed all
So
the time.
Furminator?
Really?
Yeah.
Furminator, is that how do you get it
That's
out?
a good, I mean, there's multiple tools, grooming tools. To
So
get
if I
the hair
brought
out.
my dogs to you like several times, 2 times because it's fall and because they're getting their winter and summer
Yep.
coat.
Yeah, but aren't you supposed to get him groomed? Like, I feel like we used to groom Jack like every 6 weeks.
Really? Every
Was it
6
that the golden
weeks?
retriever? I mean, you can't, and you
We used to do it all the time.
Now, I'm not
Wow.
saying they don't shed because they still are going to shed, but they have the double
Yeah.
coat, so it's
Yeah.
more that loose. If you get all that
And we'd
undercoat
have him do
brushed
that
out,
like tear all the hair out, whatever that was called. Not tear it out. but-
Furminator?
yeah.
Yeah, but when we had him groomed at PetSmart, I swear I'd pay the bill all the time. It'd drive me crazy.
maybe they didn't get it all.
I don't know. But Isaac's dog, yeah, because we said
He
we'd never have a
sheds so
shedding
much.
dog. And then you walk into the house now because I moved and walk into the house at
Fur
home.
just float.
And I'm like, and they're like, we just swept. Anyway. So did you answer what's the best?
Oh yeah, what's the best?
Best one to groom.
I don't know. I appreciate a good looking dog. So
Okay.
not necessarily a certain breed, but like if it's a good looking dog, like I appreciate that.
Okay.
And I enjoy grooming a really good looking, well put
Okay.
together dog.
Any crazies? that you don't want to, that are
I mean,
a breed that's crazy?
Yeah.
A breed that's crazy that you don't like to groom?
This is not scientific, but this is like 20 some years of being a groomer. If it is a liver colored kind of pink, not a pink nose, but like more of a liver colored nose, like they tend to bite.
Really?
So again, there's probably no scientific basis for that, but
there
that is my
There's Melissa Gets
observation.
Grooming
I
scientific
know.
And not all.
research.
Like,
That's
I don't
years.
If you got a liver colored
prejudge.
nose, look out.
Yeah.
Prejudge. Like I give them all benefit of the doubt, but in my opinion, the percentage of those type of dogs will be more like I'll be a little more on guard. And
liver color. What is liver color?
like
a liver.
I don't look at livers that
like
often.
a reddish brown.
Oh, okay.
Like a chocolate colored dog would have
So Goldens.
a lot of. Yeah, but golden. I mean, I've ran across a few Goldens that were not very nice. But most of them are.
There
Most
are
of them
some.
are.
But those
and
are dogs.
There's definitely certain breeds. I don't know. I can just the look of the face and the like. I don't know. I'm pretty.
You can
good
just
at reading
tell.
dogs.
So have you had a horror story?
I know.
Of a
Has
dog?
anything
Like
happened?
of a grooming experience?
Yeah. Client, dog, bite.
Clients?
I mean, I'm sure there's crazy ones.
My clients are pretty good. I can't complain. But yeah, I've had over the years. There's been a few.
Okay,
Have you
name
ever
one.
lost a dog?
Like
Like it got out of the grooming station and ran away?
No.
Oh my gosh, that would be terrible. That would be a horror story.
No.
Okay.
All right, next question is from Tammy Little. Mike hates doodles.
That's
Oh, wait,
true.
hold on.
No, she knows.
Dang it. It wouldn't be me if I didn't do that. Okay, this is Tammy Little, and my dog Willow is in desperate need of a grooming. Help. And then she says, Mike hates doodles, so I had to send a pic so you could share.
Listen, Mike doesn't hate doodles. Here's the funny thing. I mean, ask people who have had them. They usually have things that aren't normal in that breed. Like Bernedoodles will have anxiety problems that they would never have as a Burmese mountain dog. Like they just don't have that.
Interesting.
That the cross has brought in traits. You know, like none of our Australian Shepherds are barking machines.
And territorial
or
like
nippers.
that.
Like they know instinctively how to herd. So when a cow comes, they instinctively know to nip at a heel or to move a cow. I'm just saying sometimes the reason I say that is because I think they do things that the normal purebred of an animal would not do. That's just an opinion.
I would agree with that. And again, not always, but because there's some really great doodles.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that people tell me they're on anxiety medication.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I've heard.
Poor thing.
now, I would say too, you can help. Okay, I would say there's definitely good-minded dogs and bad-minded dogs, but then just like with a person, you can, the way you own the dog, train the dog, you know, how you, I don't know what, raise the dog, whatever, the way you handle, I guess that's more the way I'm saying, in your house and the way you handle the dog and what's the dog's day looks like, if it's in a crate all day long or, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
for sure.
that can definitely exacerbate those problems or make them a lot better to where they're manageable and you don't really have a
for
problem.
Sure.
So.
So that's my only hate towards it. It just seems that those breeds do things that
They wouldn't normally
do. But
it's kind of sad though. It's
what
not
do
their
I
fault.
Huh?
It's not their fault.
No, I know. But again, it's just back to consumers, right?
Yes.
So consumers wanted something, so they bred it, whether it was right or wrong.
And now that's like everybody has a like.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
Which
I mean.
again, I can't say anything because I have two of them. But
because everybody wanted
I mean,
an
the
indoor
majority
dog.
of what I groom is all not purebred dogs. It's a lot of doodles. I mean,
Wow.
I do have some that are not doodles, but
But people have went away from the purebred dogs in the
for
house.
sure. And like all the new puppies are almost all doodles that people are bringing.
Yeah.
Next question. This isn't a question, but this is a comment. Chris Jackson says, "Good morning, all. I just have a quick comment. I love watching and listening to her when she's on the worship team. You can see her love for Jesus."
Oh, what a
That was sweet. All right, question. And this is from Emily Miller. She says, "Being a mother of 4, what is the best way to introduce a relationship with God to your young children?"
Wow.
That's a good question.
Yes. Well, back to like I almost find it's harder with my kids than other women. I don't know. And part of it is my 4 kids have been like spaced out. So that was like looking back over the years, that was always a struggle. trying to do like Ryan and I would try to have family nights or something where it was like a message, but like they were so spread out in age, like we really struggled because what the oldest would be appropriate than the young, and it was hard. So I just try to do, okay, read the question one more time. What is the best way?
She said, what is the best
Christ
way to
young
introduce?
children.
Yes. What is the best way to introduce a relationship with God to young children?
Okay, so number one way is model it yourself.
Yes.
I would say.
Yes.
I mean, more than anything that I can tell them or try to get them to do or whatever is if they don't see me spending time with God, then I think they're going to be like, well, you don't do that. You know what I mean? So like number one is show it yourself. I've tried so many different things over the years and I don't know, every kid's got a different personality and they're going to learn different ways and they're going to find God different ways. And like you said, is that people experience God in all different ways. Right. And so it's not like there's a cut, because I've thought about this a lot. Like there's not a cut and dried way. Right. They have to, the best that I can do is just keep encouraging them to seek him in their own way and but just do it. Like are you seeking God? Are you spending time in his word? Are you seeking God? Like, and just keep maybe accountability. Like for older kids, again, it's different when they're real little, but
yeah, I mean, I've heard you say this or we've talked about this before. So you're right. One, model it.
Right.
So model consistency in a relationship and model faith. Right. And then the also thing is get to know your kids.
Oh, yes. Know what their heart is and what is their way to, what things, because for what I've recommended to each of the four of them has been different. Like it's not just one certain
instead of standard
routine.
Discipleship that every single person does it one way, it's spend some time relationally, get to know your child and then present the gospel or present faith to them in a way that works, because that's how ours are. All 8 kids are different.
Yes.
And all of them accept it and hear it and do it and act it out in different ways. So I've heard you talk about that before. Yeah.
That's good. All right. Sally Knuckles. She is for sure she is for sure a prayer warrior. Love Melissa and how passionate she is of sharing what God lays on her heart.
Aw, thank you, Sally.
I know, Sally. And that is all the questions and comments.
Okay, so Jenny, end us up with the number, how people got onto there, and then we'll finish
So
it
if you want to be on it and you're not on it, text 260-408-8383 and text podcast to that number, because that way they'll get you into the group and you'll receive our texts, and you can text back, text us if you know somebody that wants to be a guest, if you want to be a guest, if you have questions, comments, really anything. We just want to have a conversation with you.
Yeah. Good.
So,
And don't forget that when Jenny puts this out, so she puts it out on Facebook, she puts it out on Instagram. One of the ways that we can get that reach is for you to share it. So if there are ways to share those things. And then the other thing is if you're watching this on YouTube, which we do have a decent amount of people who will watch and not just listen. So if you are watching, when you comment, on any of the videos, it helps us with our reach.
Yeah,
right?
It does.
So if you can comment on it, even if it's just a word of encouragement, on the things that are happening. Because again, we do believe that the more people that we put on display, that God is using, that the more opportunities God will be made real in the lives of people. So if you're seeing it, put it out there, because we think it's a great opportunity, to do that. And I would say, if you don't know Melissa, so if you're listening and or watching, and you don't know her, you should seek her out. Like
Absolutely.
She's got a cool story. Both her and Ryan got a cool story of what God has done in their life and the things that they've seen. They've been at Life Church for a long time, and so they've seen a lot. It's always cool to see the people who have seen it before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you've seen it before. You've seen us where we were before to where God has us today. And you've been a part of it. It's been an
awesome journey for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. And you've been a part of the journey. You've been a part of helping. You've been a part of praying through. You've been a part of encouraging through. You've seen those things. And so it's always good. And I've loved to see, you guys walk your journey, because there were some times where, it's challenging.
For sure.
And God has, where you guys are today compared to however many years ago that was, like God had some interruptions in your life.
For sure.
You guys for sure stepped up and in faith have walked that journey. And I think, you've taken that and now tried to help other people. And so if you don't know her, get to know her. Back to what we said in the beginning, if you want to get in a small group, there's a couple spaces.
Reach out to
she's
me.
a great leader, and it's a great group of women that you could, surround yourself with.
And
or just come up and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
I would love that.
She would love that.
Yeah.
Great couple to get to know.
People. Yeah.
Great opportunity for that.
Fun fact. The first time that I came to Life Church was night of worship, and you were speaking when she was giving her, not a testimony, but it was just over I guess it was a testimony.
It was a testimony. The struggles they were going through.
Yeah.
And what
So
God
that was
doing.
really neat to see.
Yeah. So again, Melissa, thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for, being at Life Church and serving and allowing, God to use you. And even just more than that, thanks for being used by God in every area of your life and for people to be able to see it. And so we'll be excited to continue watching that journey. Jenny, we'll get you back on so we can get to learn more about your life.
I know.
I love conversations. I love having conversations. So.
Yeah. So we appreciate you. And again, appreciate everybody that's listening and or watching. And again, share, like, comment, and we'd love to be able to get this out there. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.